BJ, that's 7 minutes of my life I'll never get back. You go down that path again, I'm gonna get the United Way in here, and you're gonna be the only person to show up. Anyway, geez. Doug, great having you. I remember watching you when I was a little kid. So, you're a hell of a ball player. My granddad told me all about it. We've got Abbey Davis and Mike Woods with us here today from the Stillwater Community Foundation. Abbey is a past Rotary member, and then, in fact, I'm the one that got her in here, and then she resigned. I was afraid she was going to go to work for Ryan Walters' campaign. But anyway, she's now the current executive director of A&On Commercial HVAC company. She's over 5 states and 6,000 employees. She's the former director of the Spears School and a professor of practice. She has a PhD from Oklahoma State. And I just found out, unfortunately, we are about to lose her to Bend, Oregon, she and her husband, Evan. So anyway, Bend's a lovely place to visit, and now you'll have someone to see. And then Mike, it's great to have Mike with us. He's a retired professor of Ag Econ at Oklahoma State. He focused on rural economic development research, teaching, and outreach. He also served as the department head for 12 years. So both y'all come on up. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us. Kevin, am I on? Am I good? Okay, I think you've got a handheld mic. It's so awesome to be back. I love lots of familiar faces in the room, so it's great to see you all. Thank you so much for having us. I'm going to kick it over to Mike first to kick us off and tell us a little bit about the Stillwater Community Foundation, and we also have some board members in the room. So you want to get us going?
Absolutely. Okay, there we are. Who we are, the Stillwater Community Foundation has been around for a while. Some of you do know about it. You can see our mission there to connect people, businesses, and nonprofits around the needs of the community, creating a better future. We wanted to do this survey to connect with residents in our community and collect some information on perspectives, what folks are happy about and what folks would like to see improved. And these are our board members, and you will recognize many of them. I think at least 3 of them are also Rotarians. Cody is in the room. He's our current president, Cody Murray. Scott Petty, and I think John Kellum. Is John here? I hadn't seen John, but I think John is also a member. Those 3, but you'll see the other board members as well. We were blessed a few years ago to have Abbey join us, and she brought, as you know, a lot of skills to the table. And so I am her happy and able assistant today, but I want to share with you that this survey was a product of Abbey. Hello, Abbey Davis, and we're very pleased to do it, and we've convinced her to help us with the next survey. So before we get out of here, we're going to ask you for some input about very shortly, really in the next month or 2, what we might be doing. But we're delighted to be here. I personally am delighted to be here. I see a lot of friends in the room. I happen to be current president of the Stillwater Noon Lions Club, which meets. Yeah, we're close. Which meets on Thursdays at noon, and so I will pay the fine next week. Anyway. Glad to be here.
So one thing that we'll add is a big shout out to the Stillwater Chamber of Commerce. They were a huge partner with us in this survey, helping spread the word, get it out. We had over 400 responses. I've been doing surveys for a while. To get 400 responses is really hard. So we were really proud of the turnout and the output that we had. And so definitely want to have a shout out to the Stillwater Chamber of Commerce for their help there. So if you're a chamber member, thank you. How many of you, out of curiosity, do you remember taking our survey? It was about last May, June of last year. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your participation. And actually, I think I sent the survey to Kevin, and I think he distributed it as well. So thank you all so much for your participation and support. We designed the survey, as Mike mentioned, on the Stillwater Community Foundation. We're trying to identify needs in the community and how we can help. And so this survey was really trying to dig into different segments of our population and drill a little bit deeper into what their needs were. So we had specific questions around retirees. We had specific questions focused on families. We had specific, questions focused on unemployed, sole occupants. So we really try to get specific based upon whoever was taking the survey. We will have a major focus area or topic that we really hone in on each year. Last year it was the wildfire response. And so we'll dig into that a little bit. We won't spend a whole lot of time. If you want to learn more, you can read about it. I know we've talked about the wildfires ad nauseum at this point, but we do have some good data in there. We are going to reserve some time at the end of this. We want to hear from you. If there's one topic that you want us to go deep in 2026, what is that topic? So be thinking about that, and we'll come back to you here in just a bit to get your feedback. So respondent demographics, I won't spend a whole lot of time here. We had 400 responses. Most of them were full-time residents. Most of them were 87% were white, 2% African American. You can see the breakdown there. The age distribution was pretty good. Biggest age distribution being in the 41 to 50 age range. And most of the people that took our survey were employed and were married. So you can already see some gaps in our survey. We missed the gate on the college students. We kicked off the survey, it was, I want to say it was May timeframe, and the students had already left.
Yeah, the students had already left. We've already had a really good response from administrators at OSU and also NOC, and both have indicated they want to partner with us this go around, and so we think we'll have a really good college student representation.
Absolutely. So we know that's an area that we want to, get a more diverse sample next time. We need more diversity, racial diversity. We need better socioeconomic diversity as well. You'll see even, it might be my next slide, when we look at like education breakdown, I may not have that one specifically in here, but education breakdown, a lot of the participants had a 4-year degree. Not surprising because we're Stillwater, but we want to make sure that we're tapping all areas, all populations inside of our community. And then household occupancy, so a lot of individuals, lived with their spouse and partner, but we did have a lot of families that took the survey as well. We also wanted to, this is an area that I'm interested in, sole occupants in Stillwater, when it comes to socializing, networking, resources. That's another area that we could potentially drill into deeper into future surveys. Anything else you'd add before I move on?
That sounds great.
Executive summary. Here are the big themes that really popped up out of this survey. The full survey results, it's a little over 100 pages. We're going to give you a link to it because I know you're just dying to read it from front to back, right? But there's some really good information in there. So number one, the city and community responded really well to families impacted by the wildfires. We'll give you some more data on that here in just a bit. Parks and community spaces are really important. We need to ensure that they are maintained. You're going to hear less about new parks and more about let's maintain the parks that we have and make sure that they stay beautiful and accessible. Need more safe places and programs for our youth, but you're going to hear a lot around teenagers. There's always a lot of focus, right, on really young kids, but we have a gap in our community on safe places for teens to go hang out and go socialize. I'm almost have teenagers in my household, and so I can see that as well. And then you'll hear a lot around comments on streets, community pool, are some recurring themes that come up as well. All right. So in one word, how would you describe the Stillwater community? I don't think any of us would be surprised by that response. Friendly, warm, inviting. In general, the responses to this were really strong, very positive. However, we did have some words with negative sentiment in there as well, and I think it's really important that we also recognize that and try to figure out, okay, where is that coming from? Where is the gap? Where do we need to address that? So segregated, non-inclusive, fluctuating, dull, declining, and so we do have members within our community that's the first word that comes to mind for whatever reason, based on their perspectives, and that's what we really wanted to dig into.
No, I appreciate that. Abbey made a special effort, and we did with a survey to pull out some of the negative comments. And even though they might have been a minority overall, we felt it was extremely important to listen to those voices and make sure they were heard as well. So, happy to share it with you. Not happy with some of the words, but there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll notice, so I'll say it now in case I forget to say it later. We'll give you a link to the full survey itself, which also includes all the qualitative comments. We got a lot of qualitative comments. The only time that I would have manipulated a comment, or not manipulated a comment, I would have blocked something out, is if a negative comment was directed towards an individual's name, or if there was anything that would have been derogatory in nature. And I think there was maybe a total of 2 to 3 comments out of hundreds that I had to block out. So just to show you that our citizens were it was strong, constructive feedback. What do you love about Stillwater? We won't spend a whole lot of time here. Things that probably won't surprise a lot of the people here in this room. That small town vibe, the community, it feels safe. It's diverse, with the university here, local businesses, quality of life, all things that people really, really love. And I will tell you that's the hardest part of Evan and I making a decision to leave Stillwater, is all of these things up here, because it is an incredible community. So notice out of 174 very detailed comments, we try to summarize some of the big themes that came out of those. So what is one single action our city government could do to take to improve Stillwater? There was a lot of comments around homelessness, which isn't surprising. We've heard more about that over the past several years. Sidewalks and streets came up a lot, maintaining sidewalks and streets, improving parks, new businesses, industrial areas, increasing tourism, supporting our nonprofits. A couple others that I'll hit on, affordable housing, beautification efforts, as well as addressing any drug and substance abuse as well.
And I would just add, for me as a Stillwater resident, I think the homelessness issue really popped out at me, and it's something I have spent a lot of time visiting with friends about, and I feel like the last couple of years that's something that has been more visible in our community. So that is a highlight to me. The other thing I would comment on is, I know in the room we've got folks, good leaders from our city, both administrative and elected, in the room today, and they're aware of a lot of these things. I've had a couple of comments that said, some of these things we're working on, we know that, and so we present this just as a way for our community to consider, discussions on what is important for us to focus on. So it's a good list.
Yeah. Last note on the homelessness, and we've talked about this in other studies that I've participated in, that we've talked about here at Rotary. It's really hard to get good data, specifically around the homeless population, sheltered versus unsheltered homeless versus children. I mean, it's a really hard topic to dig into and just get good data on, and something that we've struggled with. What would you like to see offered in Stillwater that is not available now? Of course, Tarjay pops up. We all knew that would be on there.
Pickleball.
Pickleball came up. Community pool was a really big one, right, that popped up. And so that came up overwhelmingly. Upscale shopping, rehab services, summer events and concerts. We have this incredible thing now downtown. And anytime I go down there, there's an event and activity. So to Mike's point, so many of these areas are already having a big spotlight and are being addressed, which is great.
Yeah, we would mention, Block 34 and the amazing things going on there. The hub coming online here shortly, and a lot of new restaurants and venues around town. So again, as a 30, 40-year resident, things are moving in a positive trend.
We'll just talk just a couple of minutes about wildfire response and some of the data that we did get from that. Were you or your families impacted by the fires? Most people in Stillwater were not impacted. However, we had people that, yes, they lost their home, or their neighborhood was impacted, or their property was damaged in some way. And so we got some good feedback from them. And then specifically, how well did our city and community respond to the impact of the wildfires? Most people said extremely well, very well, moderately well. I think we should be proud of this response. We know firsthand how the community came together, and we have individuals on our board as well that were part of this. You're a statistic on this one, Mike.
Yeah, I'm a statistic on this one. Our home was impacted, and our neighborhood, Scott, was severely impacted. So responded to this with some emotion, and I can't wait. I know I've been told this. Let's get rid of some of those cedars, please.
So the thing that let me back up. I'm going to hold that thought and come back to it. There's some really great ideas that our community members put into this survey. And so there's a lot of good, rich information in the comments, and we'll hit on that here in just a little bit. How well was the community able to meet the needs of those directly impacted? Again, pretty strong list here. This is where it got a little bit interesting, at least for me personally. What needs of impacted individuals are still unmet? And that ongoing emotional and physical support. We came together as a community, but I mean, the time and the aftermath and the rebuild and the insurance and, just the challenges that these families were facing, the feedback was really like, hey, don't forget about us. This is not it's fixed and over with in a month, right? There's ongoing challenges here. And so this is where I was going to hit on, there's just some really great tips in here, even around, volunteer firefighters, and ways that we can, support our fire stations here in Stillwater. The volunteer support, the safe evacuation and exit routes. I know that's something that came up quite a bit. There was just a lot of confusion, right? On that day, I was in an evacuation zone, and there was just a lot of, I wouldn't say there was misinformation, but there was just confusion on what to do, right? And so having more clarity around evacuation procedures. Anything else that you want?
No. I think this is a great list. And again, in my neighborhood, my home, we have learned a lot about landscaping education and the importance of some things around your home that we really had not thought about before, but as we repair, we're thinking about. And I would emphasize again the communication and alert systems. And man, the more streamlined we can be in terms of our communication for this community and this county, the better we would be.
So back to Oregon for just a second, we're moving to an area where wildfires are, it is part of everyday life up there, and we experience some of them this summer. But I think there's also things on these topics that we can learn from other communities as well. I know in Bend they actually have certain rules and laws around landscaping of, shrubbery, how close it can be to the house. And so you notice the landscaping there is very different because they're trying to help prevent wildfires.
That mulch burns. It really
does,
sets
it
fire and
does.
it goes quick.
Yeah. I don't think there's mulch in Bend. There's just rocks, a lot of rocks. Let's transition and talk a minute about community spaces and how often people are using programming, using our public spaces like the Stillwater Public Library, the community center. How often are people utilizing the parks? In general, the parks are utilized fairly well, and again, a lot of feedback about just ensuring that we're maintaining those parks and taking care of them. So what are some things that our parks and community spaces can improve? We've talked about the community pool. I won't hit on that anymore. Organizing outdoor events, more walking trails, communication of available programs to non-English speaking residents. That's key. I've said this about the company that I work at. In our Tulsa facility, we have 17 languages spoken. And so, when we are, translating, it's ensuring that information is accessible to all of your community members. I think that's the easiest way to summarize that. And so I thought that was really good feedback. Baby swings at parks, more accessible playground equipment was a really good piece of feedback as well. And again, we saw this theme come up over and over, more options for teens, for teenagers, but also don't assume you know what they want. Ask them what they want. And so I've been thinking through how can we ask them in a way where we can get their feedback and do it in a positive way. Transportation, which of the following transportation methods, are you using a lot? Air travel, of course, we love the Stillwater Airport and everything they have to offer. The sidewalks, again, came up a lot as well. And just the safety precautions around our sidewalks, areas that we might be able to widen them, areas that we can signal to drivers to be mindful of individuals that may be on a bicycle or utilizing our sidewalks came up quite a bit as well. Anything you want to add there?
Yeah, just a couple of things I think that are out on the horizon that excite me. Our Rails to Trails program that our city is pursuing, outstanding, and at least early conversations about some sort of walking, biking path from the OSU campus to downtown. Those are things that, Christy, will make a tremendous difference.
Family priorities, so the bigger the box, the more people said that it was important to them. Affordable health care, not surprising. Child care, we've talked about this before, right? Affordable housing, elderly care, education resources. Those are some of the things that are really top of mind for some of our community members. What does Stillwater do well to support families with children? You're gonna, hear everyone singing the praises of Stillwater Public Schools, our daily bread, also mentioned quite a bit throughout here. The Still Wonder pop-ups, the splash pads, so a lot of things that the community is doing well to help support our families that have children. but then also things that we can do better. So here, again, widen the streets, adding turn lanes around schools, being able to provide summer and after school programs. We do have, some great programs in place. Our family personally has taken advantage of the programs out at Lake McMurtry and some of the Stillwater Arts Center as well, and some of those have been a huge help for us. Children's Museum comes up quite a bit, and then investing in preventative family outreach, caseworkers, early intervention, mental health support, things that we know can be gaps within the community. We were curious what types of educational opportunities would be beneficial to you. In my brain, when we constructed this question, I'm like, this could be good data for Meridian. They offer lots of fantastic, courses that are available to the public or the Stillwater Public Library. Personal hobbies, personal finance and debt management, number 2. And so that's a real big one that's up there. Cooking on a budget, again, things related to financial security or affordability. And then we asked the question, does your family face any of the below barriers to good health and well-being? Ability to afford healthy foods, ability to afford dental care, access to spaces for physical exercise. So we keep going back to, obviously, the cost of food, and we've got, again, our great partners like Our Daily Bread. And then we think on the healthcare side, too. I don't know how often we do health clinics or dental clinics that are open to lower income families, but those are things that we could think about and explore. What we're going to do differently next time, couple things. We're going to make sure that our sample size is more diverse, which means that we've got to really get out there, on the streets, as I like to say, boots on the ground, ensuring that we're getting in front of all the different populations. Capturing the voices of college students, I think, will be really important. And then work to gain input and feedback from our youth on what they would like to see from the community. I've been thinking through in my head, how can we, obviously we need to make sure that we're getting parent permission and working with the schools and doing it in the right way, but how can we, ask children what their feedback is, teenagers, what they would like to see within the community. And then we really want to hear from you. So I will pull up this slide, which will give you a QR code so you can download the full 100+ page report that I know you're going to read from start to finish. But again, if you provided qualitative feedback, you're going to find your quotes in there. We were very transparent with how we published the data. So we went through that pretty quick because we really want to take questions, but we also want to hear from you. What topics would you like to see or know more about that we could possibly dig into in more detail for this year's report?
I'm going to get questions. I'm not cutting them off. No. Somebody's
We're good on
salty
time.
today.
Watching my
BJ,
watch.
find him.
No.
He won't do it. Anybody have questions? Oh, Corey, I'm coming.
So I'm still relatively new to Stillwater. Just moved here in July. I'm the associate pastor up at the First United Methodist Church. One of the things that falls under my umbrella there is our benevolence requests. So folks asking for assistance. And just the 6 months that I have been here, the amount of folks who are requesting assistance for housing or utilities for the first time. Wow. When I first took this over, there were a lot of folks who told me you're going to have a lot of repeats, people who, schedule put on the calendar, are going to call the church every day of the month like this. I think I've had maybe 12, 15 people who we've helped in the past. Everyone else of the 108 people or households we've assisted are first time. And so I saw homeless on there. I'm wondering the at risk of homeless. Those who are the one paycheck away, the one missed bill away from being homeless. If there was any discussion on that before I dig into the 100-page report.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We don't have anything specifically digging in there, but I think, there's some great information out there about what a living wage is in Payne County, and we've done some of that research, but I think you just hit on a population that I don't know if anyone has specifically dug into, and so that's great feedback for future focus area.
Anybody else? Oh,
Follow up to that question. So, just a suggestion, there are a lot of churches and other organizations who receive requests from the homeless or near homeless, and that receive requests for help with utility bills and rent and that kind of thing. So my question is, is there a mechanism where in your survey you could go directly to those organizations, someone who is already receiving comments, and maybe get a wider response? I serve on one of those, and we get a lot of requests. I'd second, what he just said. So I'm just saying, instead of going just to individuals, maybe to some organizations that have already got data that would help. That's my first question. Second question on wildfires. Mentioned landscaping. Has there been any discussion, or did you get any feedback on the problem with eastern red cedar trees within a range around Stillwater? Control of those. There are patches within the city, particularly on the western side, that were responsible for the fast. So I don't know whether you saw any of that or not.
Yes, so to answer your question, yes, there were comments in the survey.
Sorry.
There were comments in the survey responses that addressed cedar control. As a resident of Western Stillwater, I mention it every time I go somewhere. Yes, that to me is a really significant issue that could be handled and addressed.
And Larry, you bring up a great point of actually surveying churches and nonprofits about the folks that they're servicing and what are the trends and themes. That's a great idea and great feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll preface this, sorry to any elected officials in the room or public servants, but I feel like trust in our city government, county government, even judicial systems has been burned recently. And so I think digging a little bit more into community trust in our elected officials and public servants would be beneficial in how we regain that trust and how we remedy current issues.
I'd love to talk to you offline on ideas for that, because I feel like you have to filter out. There's going to be noise there. There's always going to be noise. How do you filter through the noise, and how do you get to the real good, like, oh, okay, this is good feedback and actionable feedback? I'd love to talk more with you about that, Kara. That's great.
So I just wanted to answer the question on the Eastern Red Cedars. The Oklahoma Conservation Commission has been working with the city and the county, and we have a small group of individuals really led by Dave Engel, who lives in a neighborhood that was affected, and there's 80 acres between our two neighborhoods that's completely red cedars, some hardwoods, but they are starting a process of eliminating those and cleaning them up within the city limits and even bordering the city limits. So there is progress being made in that front. And I think there'll be more to come on that. You'll be seeing some promotions by the city to kind of say, hey, this is one of the things that Stillwater's proactively doing to make an impact and try to help protect our citizens. So.
Thank you, Scott. And I would add on the healthcare, there are more affordable healthcare options coming forward through Stillwater Medical Center and a new initiative they have going. So to be continued on that. That's another program. Remind me. All right.